Welcome to a blonde, brunette, and a mic podcast. We're just two Seattle besties who keep it real, definitely unfiltered, and are always ready for a laugh. I'm Michele, the blonde.
Hey there, and I'm Jules, the brunette. Join us as we dive into all of the juicy topics like dating, women's health, sex, politics, relationships, and everything in between.
We each have our own unique perspective and don't always see eye to eye, but that just makes our conversations that much more interesting.
That's right. So if you're looking for a podcast that's both entertaining and honest, I think we've got you covered.
Two authentic women,
both with real talk.
Let's go.
Woohoo!
Julie.
Belly belly, how are you?
I'm great.
Yeah?
Yes.
You know what? I'm great too. We're together.
We're like great together.
That could be a whole nother episode.
It could be a whole nother episode.
But we're not going to go there today.
We're not going to go there, I think, because we've been gearing up for this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We have been podcast planning. I'm just going to share.
Our 3 Ps.
Yeah.
Podcast planning playground.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
I like that.
She comes up with all this shit. I don't know.
Because we got mimosas in hand.
Yeah. You know what?
Why not?
I look at the mimosa like a celebration drink, Michele.
I think it is.
Morning, noon, or night, you could have it for anything.
Yeah.
I prefer a little bit more orange
Mm-hmm.
to the Prosecco.
I do a little splashy dash of crayon in mine too.
Girlfriend, what do we have? We have real glasses.
Yes, not hotel paper cups.
She's grateful to me that I went and misappropriated them from the bar downstairs.
That's a good plan.
Yeah.
I do like your bouginess when it's necessary.
Yeah,
so
you know
thank
what?
you.
It's like life's short.
Yeah.
Drink out of the glass.
You know what else it's too short for? The ick.
Oh yeah, baby.
Are you familiar with the ick?
Well, yes, and I know what it is now. I mean, I've actually experienced that in my life long before I even knew what it was, and I definitely can say that it's something that has come up many, many times for me, and I'm sure I have created it for other people too. In all fairness, you know, I was telling you about my situation where my eye watered, and then I go like this with my eye, and then I make this funny face. I mean, I think it's kind of an ick for some people, but
that could have been an ick for somebody.
Yeah.
Well, before we dive in, head first to the ick factor, can you share with our listeners what is the ick?
Well, the ick is basically a feeling that you have when you're getting to know somebody. Maybe you've known them. It could be a friend. It could be someone you're in a relationship with that makes you go, ew.
And with our Nordstrom background,
we
have always lived an acronym life. So we were like, what does ick? What could that stand for? ICK, right? The acronym would be ICK.
My girlfriend came up with her own acronym.
Instant chemistry killer.
Yes. Or instant crush killer.
Yes.
Like you may have a crush. You don't even know who the person is. And then he shows up, like with his fly down and no underwear.
Right.
And he's I would kind of go,
ew, ick.
But is it really his fault?
I mean,
someone's going to tell him, right?
I would hope so.
So, like, for example, I told you about how a few weeks ago I was showing a house and I was with some new people. They didn't know me very well. They were Mary's clients. They didn't know me very well. But I went into the house and the realtor in there, totally my girl, someone I would have hung out with. She said, you have lipstick on your tooth. And I'm like, oh my God, you're my girl.
Yeah.
Because that would be an ick for somebody. And She told me what was going on so I could very nicely get the lipstick off my tooth.
So we've, of course, like I said, podcast planning playground for the last 24 hours. We're planning out this next year. We have some great content that we're going to be doing. And we were, of course, talking about this episode, right?
Correct, yeah.
And looking into ick factors. And it doesn't, to your point, always have to be something that is in a dating aspect, dating relationship. Right. There's components of marriage. How the ick factor can come later. And how do we deal with that? There is ick factors in friendships, not just romantic relationships.
And I think it depends on the depth of your friendship, on how much you can actually share.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about, Michele and I, if she did something that was an ick for me, I would just say, ew.
Girlfriend.
Don't do that. And then she'd be
yourself.
like, why? What's the big deal? we'd have a conversation about that, you
Check
know,
up
and
from
she
the
would
neck
probably
up.
laugh at me because she thinks that I have too many icks, and especially ones related to etiquette. We found as we were preparing for this,
It was
which all goes
etiquette.
back to my upbringing and
The etiquette ick.
Yeah, etiquette icks. Yeah, like, you know, yeah, we'll
Yeah.
get into that a little bit.
Yes, we
But
will.
some of the common areas that people have, I wanted to just break down a little bit on, like, I don't want to say categories, but I'm just going to kind of dive into a few of these. I'm not going to get into detail. And then we have some questions we were going to share with each other.
Yeah.
That I don't know which ones you're going to ask me. But
here we go.
Here's some of the categories that you seem to run into this with. And again, it can be relationship related. It can be family related. It can be whatever, you know. But ick is just kind of like something where you're like, maybe I'm not really into being around that person, or maybe they're not the right person for me, or I don't know if I don't know. Can I tell them that it's grossing me out, or do I say anything?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So hygiene, obviously. It can be any kind of hygiene, but like maybe they don't like wear deodorant, or they slept in their clothes, you know, or they're showing up to a really nice dinner and they haven't taken a horse shower. Michele,
oh goodness,
I'm just joking.
Yeah.
A real shower.
A real shower.
A real shower. Michele, it's a horse shower, but whatever. Depends, because her hair always looks good.
Stop that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Body shower.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think that, yes, there's
It's
a
not
lot
just
of women
pits and
that do
privates.
that. Can we, let's move on from that. That was another episode. We are done with that. Moving on to the ick.
Okay. Well, she never smells bad, so I don't know. Might be. Okay. Overconfidence. When someone's like just all
can
about
be an ick.
themselves.
Yep.
Yeah. That kind of grosses me out a little bit. Or when I see men who are just way overdoing it with the car, the cologne, the dress.
Honestly,
Like,
women too, if they're friends.
Yeah.
Like friends. I use air quotes on that. You know, if it's somebody that you've been spending time with, that can be an ick for me. Yeah, in just a regular
like I don't have any
acquaintance
friends that have Brazilian butt lifts.
Oh no, me neither.
I don't think I do.
I don't know if
I'd
that's
probably
an
know.
ick, though.
I'd want to grab their ass and find out what it felt like if I did.
Yeah.
But would it give me the ick? It's like a whole different like category of a friend, in my opinion. That's like a friend. Probably you're going out and hanging out and doing stuff with, not someone you're like around all the time. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Know. I don't even know how to respond to that.
I don't just go to the gym and work on that BBL, the natural BBL. That's just me. But anyway.
More categories.
Yeah. Talking too much about themselves, we mentioned. Poor table manners. Be like talking with your mouth open, things like that. Or
you
not.
talk too much, boy. You never shut up.
But I mean, it could also be where, you know, I'm big on obviously on the table manner thing, but to some degree, it's like it can be over the top too. So I think it just really depends. You don't want to be uncomfortable, but you want to be well put together, I guess is what I'm saying. And being too needy or clingy.
Right.
Total turn off, kind of an ew. But there's the opposite of that is like, please be a little bit needy or clingy. You know who you are. Okay. Oh, I'm just joking.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. No.
Are you? Right. Anyways, moving on.
Lack of ambition.
Lack of ambition.
Mm-hmm.
Goals.
Goals.
Like direction.
Having some
goals. What are we doing here?
Right. Being rude to service workers. That's like a deal breaker for me, honestly. It's not even like an ick. It's like a ew, gross.
Well, and I think there's some things telling in that category, like patience and understanding,
and
can say a lot about a person in that type of a situation.
Yeah.
So.
It's like, well, you better do this because you're gonna, if you want to get a tip. I mean, I've heard people do that, and I'm like, oh my god, really? That is like the rudest thing you can do. Being dishonest or lying.
Yeah.
And I think that all kind of correlates to ethics in different situations and like making bad choices. You've heard that saying, you know, what you do when nobody's watching is really a true testimony to your personality or to your person, who you are.
That actually, as far as an ick factor, that might not even come to fruition until you might not even know.
You might not even know.
You don't know. So that's something that
could be
show
down the
up
road
later. Yeah.
And maybe it's just something that they need to talk through. And so it's an ick, but it's something that you can work through, right? And we'll talk about those too. But public displays of affection, too much of it. I'm sorry. I don't see the point in doing too much PDA. I think
that's like making out and mashing it like out there in public, leaning against your car or something, right?
That's like, when the van comes knocking, don't start rocking.
Well,
wait,
I mean,
how do you say that? When the van is rocking,
don't bother knocking.
That's kind of public, I guess. But no, I'm joking. I'm just talking about regular. I mean, holding hands or hugging or giving someone a kiss, whatever. No big deal. But like totally going like tongue action down their throat.
Yeah.
Just so unappealing to me. I don't want to. I don't need to watch that.
Didn't you? Didn't you experience that?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually had it on an episode, and I'm like, that was a big fat ick factor. That one was definitely one and maybe three and done. I think I went out with them 3 times, but done. Anyway, and then excessive social media use.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, be in the moment. Try to be in the moment with me. I say this with tongue in cheek because I can do the same thing, right? We're not like these perfect people that don't do all these things.
And I think it depends on the situation, the setting, the timing of it, I can see where it would be an ick factor if somebody is always like in every little moment of free time, they're on their phone, scrolling social media, right?
Yeah.
That would be a turnoff. I would say for me, it would be a turnoff.
A total ick. I can think of this one thing just quickly that I had never even met this man, but I had been talking to him and back and forth, and he sent some messages. I think it was Mother's Day or something about, I hope you have a great Mother's Day, whatever. And some woman, I don't even know who she was, somehow managed to figure out, maybe she saw his phone or whatever the case is, but she messaged me and she goes, I just want to let you know he was with me last night, spent the night at my house, had dinner or breakfast with my son and I, and, I just want you to know what you're getting into. And all of a sudden I was just like, well, obviously I wasn't interested, but I was just like, oh God, how gross.
Yeah.
That girl just saved me a major headache.
Well, and okay, that's great for you. But does she not see the ick factor in that for herself?
Well, I'm hoping, I don't know. I didn't,
right?
I wasn't going to get into it with her, but I'm like, I'm really hoping you're not thinking that, you're trying to like
that to light. Yeah.
Alleviate any other competition because you want him, because you can have him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that guy keeps hitting me up.
Really?
Still to this day, I have blocked him on everything because I had said, no, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, totally.
Instant chemistry killer.
Yeah. Which was probably inevitable anyway.
Yeah.
Just seeing what I see. So maybe she did me a favor.
Okay. So there's an example.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have another one? Let's talk about what is a memorable ick? Maybe the most memorable ick that you've ever experienced.
I have one from a couple years ago that, I'll mention. I had gone out with this person a couple times. He seemed pretty nice guy. The first ick, which I let go on the second date, was that he was wearing a t-shirt that had a Playboy bunny on the front of it. Like a black t-shirt with a white Playboy bunny. Well, it's more kind of like a,
let's bring up how, because we were talking about this too, how sometimes the ick initially manifests itself as what we coin the term as a red flag.
Red flag, yep.
Right? But the actual ick is a moment where you actually feel the ew.
Yeah, where you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, like there might have been, so like the Playboy shirt, that might have been a tiny bit of a red flag.
That was
maybe.
it was a red flag. It was going up, and it's like, and of course my spidey senses are out, and I'm like, oh God, what else is going to happen? Sure enough, by the end of this date or whatever it was, we were waiting for the check. And he's looking around and he's like, where is that broad anyway? And I was like, what the fuck? To myself, I'm like, he just called this woman a broad. Am I being like overly sensitive? No, I don't think I am. And I said to him, it's like, did you seriously just call the server a broad? He goes, and he thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Ick.
Because
instant chemistry
killer. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And
for sure,
broad, first of all, it's like, who uses that word? That's like someone who's 80 years old would use that word, right? That's like an old word. But I mean, I have a friend who's younger. We've talked about some of these things before because they're like having conversations amongst themselves. They're maybe in their 30s or 40s, and they're calling women bitches. They're not saying they're bitches. That's what they say.
It's just different. It's kind of different now. No, let me sound old for a minute.
I
Nowadays,
don't like it.
Yeah.
Or he had messaged me about something, and he was like, yeah, get your old stanky ass down, da 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 da. And I was just like, what are you sending me? Why are you saying these things?
And that's kind of where we were saying that comes into with etiquette. I mean, truly.
Well, no, it's just the way he is.
I know. Yeah.
And then he was telling me, oh, that's from a comedian, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, I didn't. But it's like, I'm not in on, obviously, the whatever they think.
Why would you? I don't know. Yeah.
He thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not dating him, so that could be why. We're just friends. But
yeah.
Anyway, so that would be mine. Do you have one?
I do.
I'd love to hear it.
We were talking about this. And so I was dialing it way back to when I was like 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
Right?
That was only like 2 weeks ago.
100 years ago. Right? So I was kind of dating this guy. And at the time I was a server, right? So he was actually a customer that would come in the restaurant. He was a little bit older than me, but we had gone out on a few dates. We like went sailing he had a sailboat, sailing on Coeur d'Alene. Like we did some things and we liked each other. There was an attraction there. And I had invited him to my work Christmas party.
Oh boy.
So yeah, let me just like give you the Reader's Digest version. He got really drunk. He took mushrooms. I found that out later. I didn't know at the time that he had done that. So definitely crossfaded. It's like 0 degrees below zero in Spokane, Washington.
Snow on the ground, I bet.
It's Christmas time, right? He had driven his truck. We were in downtown Spokane. He's like passed out. I literally barely got him to the truck that he drove us there in. And he's like out, like literally cold, not to mention it's cold outside. Speaking of which, I can't just leave him there because he'll freeze to death and then I'll be responsible for his death.
You
right?
could, but that wouldn't have been the right thing to do.
Wanted to. But so, yeah, I had to hail his. I think the truck wouldn't start because maybe I was going to try and drive it home. But for whatever reason, I called a cab, hailed a cab, whatever. It's the middle of the night. I had to drag his like dead weight body into the cab back to my place. And the first thing he does in the morning is runs into the kitchen and throws up in my sink.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Giant ew, instant crush killer because there was one, but like not anymore. That was done.
You can't even imagine. You're like,
no.
Like even having a vision of what you would be doing with this person. We
packed that shit up and threw it out the door.
Yeah.
He
knew, I would imagine.
Oh, he knew.
Yeah.
And, and then, he's a customer at the restaurant. So he still got to serve him his bacon and eggs and whatever else. And like, there you go.
There's no way for you to ghost this man, right? Back in the day?
No ghosting.
Yeah. She can go hide in the back or whatever.
Nope.
Okay, so that's your most memorable. I mean, we probably have a few, but just the one that came to mind was that one not that long ago, and I was just like, really?
Yeah.
Okay, no. But what it really kind of goes back to is a very different way of looking. So if you really dig deeper, the fact that he's calling women broads and he's doing it in front of someone who he's really only known for a few dates.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell else is going to happen?
Sure.
Especially
it's like, in the beginning. Yeah.
It's like, that's not something that I think someone could come back from for me.
Yeah.
Because I would think that it's like, wow, that level of disrespect, what happens when they get pissed? That's what would go on in my mind. I don't really want to find out,
Nope. Smart decision.
So, what's something that will instantly give you the ick no matter who does it? Is there anything that you can think of?
Instant ick no matter who does it. I mean, there's probably some icks that I can think about with my boys. And when it happens, I'm thinking, hopefully he doesn't do that in front of a woman or in front of a girl that he likes, right? I'm just trying to think. I don't know, like, don't brush your teeth before you. I don't know, but there's things that can be, and
you don't really feel compelled to say anything as a mom now because they're older.
They're adults.
Yeah. And again, it might be totally looked at differently by someone else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's something. So like when you say long term, so those are things that can come to fruition that maybe they're not as recognizable in the beginning,
Right.
or you think, it's something that you're so infatuated with the person or like really liking that person that you overlook what some of the icks might be.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even see that it's an ick.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even establish that there's an ick.
I mean, sometimes I think they can be very surface level things.
Yeah.
That you just don't, but they indicate other things,
Mhm.
And this is going to sound super shallow. I'm totally calling myself out, but I think a lot of it comes from where we were raised, in the world of the designer world or in the world of fashion or what have you. Not that we're these fashionistas necessarily, but when someone isn't put together, it's kind of an ick. When they don't have a thought process on what they're doing, it's kind of an ick to me because it kind of makes me go, what else are they doing? What else?
But do you feel like they always have to be on point?
No. I'm just saying in terms of first impressions and things like that.
Well, yeah,
you
first
want to put your best foot forward when you're meeting someone.
Are they faking it then until they make it?
No, I don't look at it that way. I look at it like it's kind of like Michele.
Oh.
No, think about it. It's like, would you fart in front of your boyfriend of 2 weeks?
No.
Okay. Would you fart in front of your husband of 20 years?
I mean, not intentionally.
Not intentionally, but you wouldn't be thinking about it and going, you wouldn't be at a hotel with someone that you've been seeing for 6 months and go down to the...
Some people are just like that. So, and I guess, but to be fair, there are those people that think that's funny.
Yeah.
And would probably enjoy that.
Yeah. So, or like they fart and they pull the covers over your head.
Yeah.
Those people.
Yeah.
I actually would prefer being around someone who does not care about those things, but not the same person who's like out in public going, ripping a fart.
Okay. So I guess I can think of somebody, I'm not going to call anybody out, but it's one of my boys.
I'm not calling anybody out, but it's one of these 25% chance.
But they intentionally burp. Like not on purpose, like let me draw this air out of me so I can just belch for no reason, right? But after he's eaten, and he doesn't hold back.
I know which kid it is.
He's just out with it.
Yeah. Because it's a natural function.
It's a natural function. It's comfortable. It's good for your body, which I know all these things, but that's an example of one of the things where I'm like, I hope he doesn't do that in front of a girl.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Isaac, love you, but we'll just say he knows he doesn't.
Yeah.
And actually he has done it in front of the girl that he's.
And he's obviously very comfortable.
So comfortable, but that's what I mean. It's just like a natural kind of a thing, but not everybody would be okay with that. And,
oh my God, Michele, the household I grew up in, you were not allowed, you did not burp.
Yeah.
And you weren't allowed to say the word fart.
I wasn't, my dad's name was Art, but that's the reason I wasn't allowed.
We had to say,
funny story.
Pass wind.
Yeah.
Or let wind or something like that.
Let one.
And then, oh my gosh, it was like a huge apology. So you can kind of see where some of that comes from, right?
Yeah.
Like it's really not a bodily function for anybody but my dad.
Yeah,
I mean, and he would never do that in front of everybody. So I don't know that was anything, but it's how you're raised too. You know, the things that you're exposed to that make a difference. So like in Mary's family, much different. It's like she had brothers, that were she had 3 brothers and they were doing all that kind of stuff. So it was very common in their household.
Yeah, boys.
My household, not so much.
Yeah.
So anyway,
a lot of factors that go into what some of these ick things might be that somebody might not even think twice about.
Right.
That on the flip side, somebody else, to your point, based on how they were raised, it's a thing.
Right.
So I guess that's a little disclaimer for all the icks out there that aren't intentional. We know not all icks are intentional.
Right.
We recognize that.
And they're not all deal breakers either. I mean, there's definitely there's things that you might meet someone or you might be in a relationship with someone who really doesn't have any sense of, and I'm just throwing this one out there, but any sense of style, let's just say. Not that, again, we're fashionistas, but at the same time, it's like you can work with that. I mean, you can kind of encourage him not to wear Kirkland jeans.
What about what?
I don't know. It just came up. Kirkland jeans, like Costco jeans.
What's wrong with what?
Why?
What's wrong with Costco jeans?
I'm just saying, it's like,
no, that's a judgy
it is judgy.
statement.
But I'm just saying, I'm just telling you, it's like you can work with them. What if they're high water?
There's nothing wrong with
what if they're
jeans.
wearing like, we talked about mixed match socks.
I recently bought jeans from Walmart.
But did they have a Walmart label on them?
It doesn't matter. What does it matter? Why does that matter?
I don't want labels on anything.
This is a whole other episode.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on.
Just like wearing shirts, it's like you won't really see me wearing stuff that's advertising other stuff.
Right.
So anyway, I mean, I don't wear like True Religions that have the big True Religion thing on the butt. You know.
Okay, back to the ick.
Anyway, back to the ick.
So what do you think when like there's no ick, and all of a sudden something happens, or this is dating, obviously, they do something that just in a moment gives you the ick. Have you ever experienced just like it? I mean, that's kind of my story, but I mean, like, we're dating, we're meeting family, we're moving on, and then all of a sudden there's something that they do or did in a social setting or in a family setting, whatever it is, where you're just like, ew. Did that just happen?
Again, goes back to,
did they just do that?
How they were raised.
Yeah.
And, what was okay. Maybe they didn't.
And then you question the ick.
Then you question it because you're kind of like, it's deeper. To me, it's like deeper. It's not necessarily just this surface thing, but I think it dives below the surface to some degree because something's creating that for you.
Yeah.
Right. And so and it goes back to like the episode we had last week on standards.
Yeah.
Versus expectations. It's like, you're kind of measuring all those things when you have friendships you're creating, or when you are dating, or you're in that, world where you're married or whatever. You have these standards and expectations. So most of the time you're going to end up being around somebody who's similar in their thought process in regard to those things than you are. But they may have pet peeves too. Pet peeves, whatever you want to call them, icks. I mean, they're kind of the same thing in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you think there's such a thing as having too many icks, Michele?
I think that yes. I think there is. And that's where it becomes, you have to really recognize yourself on why. Why are there so many things or so many red flags or so many icks that are coming about? Does it mean you're being too judgmental? All of those, are you not flexible? All of those things that are necessary if we're talking about a relationship, right? And nobody's perfect, for God's sake.
I know, including us.
Nobody's perfect. Yeah. And but that's why when we were talking about the actual ick, that instant crush or chemistry killer, mostly in a dating situation, but then we were expanding on things that went into all these other areas, right?
Yeah.
And there's
like friendships,
right. Things that can, come to light in a long-term relationship, a marriage, all of those kinds of things. So then you're going to have to figure out how you're consciously going to deal with that stuff. And you know what? Honestly, when it comes to those types of situations in friendships or long-term relationships or marriages, a lot of times we're pointing the finger at that point, I think.
Yeah, it becomes something that they're nitpicking on.
Yeah, we're pointing the finger at these faults or whatever it might be that is turning you off. But then this is cliche, and if you can't see me, I'm pointing my finger, but you have three pointing back at you when you do that. So what is it that I need to work on, or what are the things that I need to maybe be cognizant of, and how I'm reacting to this stuff, how I'm dealing with it, especially, like I said, I'm talking long-term relationships that you're in. And so it's not always just pointing the faults out in somebody else, but really kind of looking inward too and seeing why is it that is, and what can I do to maybe not feel as judgmental, So
okay, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Do you think Rick has any icks for you?
Honestly, we were talking about this earlier, and I don't have any icks with Rick.
I know. And that's actually okay. Or if you did, you'd just say, don't do that.
Yeah. Like I really, there's no icks with
but
Rick.
Do you think he has any with you?
I don't know. We would have
you were suggesting one
we,
thing.
we would have to ask him if there's any icks. I know that my household is more, I'm not even going to use the word cluttery, but I just have more going on in my household at any given moment. So I have more stuff on my kitchen counters. There's more things that are out and about. Do you like how I put that? More things happening in my household.
Because
So
if you walk upstairs to my household,
yeah,
as I don't have, I mean,
right.
those are just preferences, you know.
Yeah.
You know, that's how your mind thinks and stuff. But if we actually lived in the same space, we'd be having a conversation.
Yeah, and I don't. Yeah, and it's like, is that an ick? I don't know.
I don't know.
So
I mean, for some people it might be
chemistry killer because we still got plenty of chemistry going on.
Well, again, some things are very easy to deal with, and others not so much. And I think a lot of that has to do with the depth of the relationship. Like I was saying with you, it's like if there's something that you did that I would go. Another way of saying ick for me is ew. I like ew, like that. If you did something like that, I'd be like, Michele, ew. Yeah. And then you'd be looking at me like, what? What did I do? You know, like we were talking about, like, what is something that would just immediately, it doesn't matter who does it, whatever. If I was at work, for example, and I saw someone have their foot up on the counter, or like at their desk or their fingernails or whatever, and they're clipping their nails and stuff, and it's like in public, I would be so grossed out. Yeah. I'd be just like, why are you doing that here? Yeah, there's like, there's a time and a place for everything. And I just feel like that's one of the things that needs to be done. Like,
well, that's etiquette. And that's like,
is it though?
Yes, that's etiquette.
I mean, it's
why
definitely
would you
etiquette.
Like, throw your foot up on your desk and start clipping your toenails?
But who does that?
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, who does that?
I mean, I'm sure there's somebody, but
yeah,
I don't know what the why.
But then there's other things, you know, kind of like this morning we were having breakfast and Michele sent her plate down and went to go get some coffee, and I ate her bacon. I ate half of the piece of bacon and I put it back on her plate.
Ew.
She didn't even notice. But is that appropriate etiquette? Hell no. But I don't care because she's not going to get. I know she won't get mad at me, so I did it anyway. Would I do that with everybody? No, I absolutely would not. Yeah, it's like leave my food alone, kind of a thing. Anyway, so to sum it all up, I think it's important to understand that we have things within our life that are intolerable for us, or things that make us go, ugh, you know, and it's okay. I think digging a little deeper, which is really what I've been doing, having thought about this conversation, is the why behind those things. Like the guy with the broad comment and the Playboy t-shirt comment, the more in-depth ooh really comes from the fact that he probably has a healthy disrespect for women in one way or another. I wasn't interested in finding out.
Yeah, and he was representative of that in how he spoke and in what he was wearing.
And he was super comfortable about it too. So not another one, like you mentioned about your guy from when you were younger, is, you know, going out with people who drink too much. Yeah. You know, and they're like over drinking. Right. You know, not even getting super drunk, but it's like over drinking, which would indicate that they probably drink a lot if they're not getting super drunk. I don't really want to be around people that are always drinking to the point of excess. I mean, we have our moments. Hell, we have our freaking
I feel
mimosas here, right?
I'm almost done with mine.
But I'm not going to go home and have another one.
I might.
I don't know if she brings it upstairs. I might. I don't know.
Just saying.
But to my point, I'm trying to make is not something that is an everyday thing, right? And is that a judgment? You know what? If it is, I don't give a shit because it's just how I feel.
Preference.
Yeah, it's a preference. But it's also could be like maybe not the right person for me kind of a thing. Yeah. Or even a family member, you know, if they drink too much around you, it's like maybe you just kind of don't spend as much time, or you just, because you start bringing up stuff about alcohol or any kind of substance, it becomes a whole different conversation because there could be an addiction problem. They might not have decided that they have a problem. So that's like a different world altogether. But when it comes to like the etiquette things or, you know, stuff like that, different story.
So the ick. Instant chemistry or crush killers.
That's right.
Something to think about.
Yeah.
That would be a fun little twisty-wisty on words there, and something to bring to light.
That's right. So what's next?
Well, you know what's next. Gotta
But I don't know what
ring,
question she's
ringy
asking.
dingy that bell. So
We
quick
can ring my bell.
bell.
Okay, I have a really bad one.
Ring
my bell.
Do
do do.
The question is chivalry dead? What do you think? Chivalry.
So is
What do
this
you
my
think
toxically
chivalry
feminine
dead?
side of me answering this?
I mean, I guess it's just that's just the question.
Do I want my cake and eat it too?
I think you do.
Hell yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is chivalry dead?
I don't think so. I don't think it is. But when you look at what chivalry really means, I mean, it's, how you treat someone of the opposite sex, typically men treating women. I don't need to have my door open for me every single time. And I don't need to have, someone get my water for me. I don't need all of those things. But the fact that they would recognize or understand or even put their best foot forward when we're going out or what have you would make me feel a lot more comfortable. Like they're concerned about me. They're concerned about,
Why just when you're going out, though? I would think that if it matters, it should matter all the time.
Well, it goes both ways.
Of course
I
it
know
does.
chivalry is really something that's designed to be, well, when we hear that word, I think about men and how they treat women,
Of course,
right?
yeah.
But really, it kind of goes both ways. A lot of it's just an initial.
But you would
just a
think of that
respect
as
thing.
submissive.
No, not necessarily.
Julie.
No, I absolutely would not.
For
If it's not happening both ways,
No,
it
I'm
would
just saying when the woman is like catering to her man.
There's nothing wrong with that as long as it's reciprocal.
But that's
And it's not that I'm having to do what he's telling me to do because he's a man. That's a very different thing.
Well, no, that's different because if he's telling you to do it,
Expects me to do
or
it.
expects you to do it, if you're wanting to do it. So chivalry, I think that the modern times and the modern woman, I'm just going to lump that into one giant category, nobody specific or particular,
Mm-hmm.
but
Is that your disclaimer?
Yes.
Okay.
These modern times have made it very difficult for men to be that chivalry type of a man. I'm just speaking of a man in regard that's just like you said, that's what I think of when it's chivalry.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am the type, yes, I would like to have I'm completely capable of doing all the things.
Yes.
Right? But I think it's just, when a man is cognizant enough, whether it's a stranger or somebody you're in a relationship with, I appreciate it when they open the door as I'm walking in and are thoughtful about that. I appreciate if my car door is open, if they're walking on the right side of me when we're walking on the sidewalk,
street.
all of those things, just knowing that they're cognizant of that to do it, I appreciate that. And it's thoughtful.
Yes.
And it is chivalry.
100% agree.
Like-
Now, our generation, I feel like has a better understanding of what that looks like and what that means. And I don't think it necessarily correlates to, toxic femininity or sexism or anything like that. When I'm joking around when I say I want the best of both, well, I do want the best of both worlds, but where I expect the best of both worlds, it's like you also have to give. It's like you're not going to expect a lot of that type of behavior if you're not, not like I'm going to go open someone's door for them all the time or whatever. But is it chivalrous for the man to always pick up the bill? I mean, theoretically, that's the way probably people look at it.
That's what I'm saying. These modern times make it very difficult to know what that looks like.
I think it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
But it definitely is noticeable when you're getting to know somebody if they do not possess those traits or those qualities or having been taught what that looks like.
Yeah.
And that's hard for me.
Somebody, because I was talking about this once, and this person said to me, because I was saying, yes, I want my door open for me. Yes, I want all of those things. We were just, yes, I want flowers, whatever. Yes, yes. And this person said, but I thought you wanted to do everything yourself. Like, that's what I mean when I say, and that really, when they brought that to my attention, I was like, yeah, us women nowadays, we do make it very challenging
for men to be men.
For men to be men and to do those things in that context.
Yeah.
When we're talking about chivalrous things,
Yeah. Am I a feminist? Yeah. I mean, to some degree. I'm not over the top, I'm not burning my bra anywhere. I mean, it's like, do I believe in women's rights and all that? Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
But do I think that they have to be defined in different categories? Not necessarily, because just because I'm a feminist doesn't mean that I can't be feminine. Doesn't mean that I can't be treated with respect and kindness, or treated like a woman, treated like someone who a person cares about.
Yeah.
I don't know that they correlate.
Well, and to your point, it does go both ways. And I think, and of course, I'm just thinking about my own relationship, because we do have those things like, I'll make him a drink and bring it up to the bedroom. I'll do those things that some women might think are, I was joking earlier, but you know, we do have a joke amongst each other when it comes to being submissive, you know, and it comes from, again,
Michele wants to be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. Oh, not pregnant, just barefoot.
That would be impossible, but you know, give me some pearls and I'll cook in the kitchen. Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, I'm the hunter. She's the gatherer. I don't know. I'm not even a hunter. It's like, I don't want to kill anything, but you get my drift, right?
Yeah. So anyways, I don't think it's dead. I think there's something to be said for it. I appreciate it.
I do too.
And yeah, give me some cake and I'll eat that too.
Yeah. I'm eating all the chocolate cake I can.
Thanks everybody for listening.
Yes, definitely.
We're going to wrap this up. Like I said, we've got a lot of great things planned for 2025 with our podcast planning playground that we were doing this weekend. So look forward to having many more conversations, many more laughs from these two. Should we tell them our tagline for 2025?
Let's do it.
All right.
Authentic women.
Real talk. Let's go. Yeah.
Yep.
There you have it. So you can find us out on all the socials. Thank you so much for listening. Continue sharing with your friends. We appreciate the downloads.
And we are on YouTube. That was the one thing we wanted to mention.
On
and LinkedIn.
YouTube.
We're going to start going on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Some other platforms that we're on. But I forgot what I was going to say. I do this all the time.
Oh.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Do you remember?
No, apparently not.
It was that September.
It doesn't matter if I don't remember. Anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will chat with you next week on another topic.
Peace out.
Bye. Bye.